Hieronymus Bosch is a 15th century Netherlandish painter, but little is known about his life or artistic training, and to this day remains a mystery.
The exact number of Bosch's surviving works has been subject of debate due to the fact that Bosch rarely signed and never dated his paintings. Hieronymus Bosch is known for creating very complex and imaginative pieces of art that greatly consist of symbolic figures.
With that in mind, let's first take a look at the artwork on the left.
When you look at this painting, your eye is immediately drawn to the center of the large circle. This is said to represent the eye of God and how he is all-seeing. In the pupil, you can see Christ and what appears to be him coming out of the tomb, and below this image, you can see a Latin inscription that translated in English says, "Beware, beware, God sees." You can also see that there are two banners at the top and bottom of the large central circle that consist of a phrase in Latin.
Translated to English, the upper banner says, "For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end." While the bottom banner says, "I will hide my face from them, I will see what their end shall be." These three texts link God's omnipresence with man's freedom and the fruits of sin. These phrases go hand in hand with each other, and I quote, "Link God's omnipresence with man's freedom and the fruits of sin." These sins are the 7 deadly sins, which are the images surrounding the eye.
The first of the 7 deadly sins is gluttony, which is shown directly above the eye of God. This pictures a drunk man drinking from a bottle of wine, while a fat little boy begs his obese father for some food that the father is greedily eating.
Moving clockwise along the circle, the next image is sloth. This work shows a lazy man sleeping by the fireplace, while the nun pictured behind him represents Faith, who is trying to remind him to pray.
Next is lust, which depicts 2 couples lounging around having a picnic, being entertained by 2 clowns.
And then comes pride, which pictures a woman gazing at herself in the mirror, and if you look closer, you will notice that the mirror is held by a demon.
Wrath is located directly below the eye of God and shows 2 men violently fighting and a woman who is trying to break up the fight.
The second to last sin is envy. This piece of art pictures a couple who are enviously looking at the rich man who is holding a hawk, and also shows a woman and a man flirting, but the woman has her eyes fixed upon the purse around his waist. 2 dogs are shown at the foot of the scene, which illustrates the Flemish saying, "2 dogs and only 1 bone, no agreement."
The last of the deadly sins is greed. This scene depicts a crooked judge who is intently listening to the case presented in a lawsuit by an individual while simultaneously accepting a bribe from the other party.
The 4 small circles that are in each corner of this piece represent the 4 last things, which are the consequences one faces later based off the number of times they committed these sins. The first circle on the top left is called Death of a Sinner and shows an old man lying in his bed while an angel and a demon are present at his headboard. You can see the priest at his bedside saying the sinner's last rites.
The picture shown on the top right is called Last Judgment. In this work, Christ is shown while angels are blowing their trumpets, waking the dead. This is a time when the decision of whether a person will go to heaven or hell is made. Hell is shown on the bottom left and pictures demons violently torturing all the sinners. Each sinner is being tortured according to their own sins that they had committed while on earth.
The final picture of the 4 last things is called Glory and shows all the saved entering the kingdom of heaven while God is sitting on his throne of glory. If you look closely to the left, you can see that a demon is trying to take hold of a woman, but an angel is holding him back with his rod.
This next artwork is titled Concert in the Egg by Hieronymus Bosch, which is an oil and canvas piece. This piece is not believed to be an original painting done by Bosch, but is credited to him because it is believed that it is based on one of his sketches.
This conclusion was reached due to the examination of the style of the costumes worn by the singers, but also most importantly, by the identification of the music score that is seen in the painting, which was a song written in about 1549, which was nearly 35 years after Bosch's death.
Now, let's go into detail about this piece. The egg that the singers are in represents the universe, as in many other of Bosch's pieces. The outer shell represents the sky. Many interesting figures are present in this artwork, from the friar to the bishop in red piping the tune, to the philosopher with the spectacles and upside-down funnel on his head, the elegant lady of the manor, the man in the wrinkled wimple brandishing his spindle, the simple folk, the elderly, the ill and infirm. These figures all seem to be oblivious to the presence of the demons, devils surrounding them.
If we take a look at the monk attempting to lead the group, we can see that he is so engaged in attempting to keep the group together that he does not notice the demon stealing his purse. There is much bizarre imagery present throughout this artwork, such as a hand sticking out from the bottom left of the egg, reaching for a fish on the ground, to the multiple birds standing on the heads of the figures.
Adding on to this, looking at the bottom right corner, you can notice the miniature figures that appear to be celebrating. It is also interesting to see that if you take a look at the singers' faces, their voices do not seem to be producing a pleasant sound.
Much of the bizarre imagery in this piece is likely connected to popular Dutch expressions of the 16th century, the significance of which has been lost to time. Since much has been lost in translation, it is difficult to recover the original thrust the work had for its contemporaries.